Hi, I'm Nikolai, aka 56Miner, and today we're unboxing our January premium box. This month's box is all about the Derwent Inktense line. We'll go over the materials, talk a bit about color theory, and I'll share some tips and tricks that I picked up while working with everything. Let's get into it. For our surface this month, we have a custom 4x6 pad of the agave watercolor paper from the Hanamule company. This paper is super absorbent and has a slight tooth to it, which makes it perfect for our custom 6 set of the Derwent Inktense pencils included in this month's box. By using a light hand and holding our pencil towards the back, we can create a very subtle gradient and reveal some of the texture of our agave watercolor pad. The custom colors included in our set include red violet, hot red, golden yellow, light olive, peacock blue, and deep rose. While these color pencils are beautiful on their own, the real magic happens when we activate them with water. Let's grab our 1/2" Princeton Select Lunar Blender included in this month's box and use it to activate our Derwent Inktense pencils. By taking just a little bit of water and a clean brush, we can activate that pigment and reveal the vibrant color of our Inktense pencils. This month, I thought it'd be fun for us to create an abstract design highlighting the different techniques that we can do with our Inktense pencils. Now you're welcome to copy my design or create your own. I focused on loose, organic shapes for mine, and I used an extra sheet of paper to create the nice border around the edges like we talked about last month. As I go in and activate my first layer of that Inktense pencil, I'm making sure to scrub that surface a little bit with our brush because I really want to make sure to activate that pigment, because once it's activated, it becomes permanent on our paper. Now, the Inktense pencils only become permanent when they're fully dry, so it's important that you let each layer dry fully before going back in. I'm going to take some of our hot red and layer it on top of our deep rose in order to create a nice gradient, and because we're working in a transparent medium, these colors will blend together really seamlessly. We can always go over the same color in order to create a deeper, richer tone or to attribute form, just like we did in our tinted graphite box last year in February. When working with our Inktense pencils, I found that the best way to get a nice, consistent, flat color is to go in with multiple layers, allowing each layer to dry and then building up that color. This also helps to reveal the rich purple of our red violet pencil. We curated the colors in this set to be really mixable, so make sure to take the time and explore layering different colors to create new secondary colors. We can also layer our color pencils and not activate them so we can get more of a textured effect like I did with the green. One of the things that really impressed me with the Derwent Inktense line is that once you activate that pigment, it really does act just like ink. Here I'll go in and add a shape right on top of our yellow, and because I've activated that yellow fully, when I go over with our Lunar Blender, I'm not going to pick up any of that pigment. I'll still be able to create a fun green color, but that's going to be due to the transparency intermixing with these two distinct colors. And as long as you let those layers dry before going over with a new color, you can still keep those distinct edges like you see on my circle. Here, I'm taking that deep rose and layering it on top of the yellow, and it's going to give us a more of a brick red color. But by going over it a second time, we can create more of a burgundy color. These Inktense pencils are super versatile and a really fun and challenging way to explore color theory. Let's grab the last item in our box, a custom curated 6 set of the Inktense paint pans. These pans contain the same medium as our pencils, and our colors include sun yellow, poppy red, turquoise, poker's green, red oxide, and Payne's gray. Taking a damp brush, we can activate our pan. Now the more water that we use with our Inktense pans, the smoother that pigment's going to dilute out, resulting in a much softer gradient. By taking some clean water, we can use a wet on wet technique, which is when we prep our surface with a little bit of water and then dab some of our Inktense pigment in. This technique is known as blooming, as we're allowing that pigment to spread through that wet surface and really leave it untouched. Now, of course, we can push around that pigment while it's still wet, but some of the fun of this technique is just letting it go where it wants. By working from left to right and allowing that pigment to pull through, we can create some nice gradients, and we can always go back in and darken those up if we want. And like a traditional ink, we can always pre-mix our values by controlling how much water we add. And because our pans are permanent once fully dry, we can go back in with a second color and overlay them in order to create new colors. Now I know that color theory can be a bit intimidating, so I've gone ahead and created this color chart to identify the different hues available to us with our pans. Now if we were trying to make this teal color, we would mix a majority of turquoise with a little bit of Hooker's green, whereas this color would be a majority of Hooker's green with just a little bit of turquoise mixed in. Feel free to take a screenshot of my color chart or make your own this month. Now that we have a good understanding of materials, let's do something a little bit more complex. I want to start by sketching out the shape of a bottle because I thought it'd be fun to go over how to depict glass or transparent objects this month. With my initial sketch established, I'm going in with our lunar blender and activating that pigment from our pencil. I'm going to let that fully dry before going in and mixing a nice chartreuse color using our sun yellow and our Payne's gray, making sure that that yellow stays my dominant color so that green shines through. I'm going to use this as the base of my bottle, as I love that old kind of antique-y green glass look. Now just like with traditional watercolor, we need to ensure that we're working from light to dark. That means that the lightest area with the least amount of pigment are going to be my highlights, my darkest areas are going to be my shadows. Next, I'll take my golden yellow pencil and establish those shadow areas, making sure to activate that pigment with our lunar blender. Now this process does take some time as we need to let each layer dry fully before going back in. If you'd like to practice this month on something other than a bottle, try taking some inspiration from our prompt, change. Next, I'm going to go in with our green and emphasize some of those shadows. I'm going to be emphasizing areas where the light doesn't touch, where the bottle comes together, or just areas that would be in shadow. Now I always suggest working from life whenever possible, but if you don't have a bottle handy, a photo will work just as well. With that shadow layer fully dry, I'm going to mix in some of our golden yellow with our green, which will give us a really fun chartreuse color, which will harmonize the other colors on our bottle. With that layer fully dry, I'll go in with our peacock blue Inktense pencil and emphasize just the darkest areas of the shadow. It's going to be very easy to overpower the other colors on our bottle with this blue, so I'm making sure to use a very light hand and a fairly dry brush to activate that pigment. In areas where the bottle meets the topper or the very bottom, I'm going to use a bit more water to fan out that color. Bringing back our golden yellow and our Payne's gray color, I'm going to use this to harmonize those blue shadows and add emphasis to the darkest areas of our bottle. This is the stage where we can really see the form of our object really start to take shape. As a final touch, I'm going to go in with our light olive pencil and emphasize our darkest areas and add a few texture details. Let's create a simple lattice technique on our bottle, using some parallel lines to set up guides as they wrap around that object. This will create kind of a pinecone detail that you see so often on glasswork. For our glass topper, I'll add some parallel lines to imply form, making sure to use lighter lines in areas of highlight. I'm also going to add some subtle recesses to the bottom of our bottle, making sure to go back in with our lunar blender and blend out areas where I want a soft transition. That's all for this month's video. Hope you enjoyed it, learned a few things, and if you post your work online, make sure to use hashtag SketchBoxJanuary. We love seeing what y'all create each month. And if you want to check out any of our previous videos, head over to our YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe. And I'll see you next month.